ये आकाशवाणी है। अब आप मोहम्मद शफीक से खुसूसी बुलेटिन समाअत फरमाइए। मरकजी हुकूमत ने कहा है कि मुल्क में कोविड-19 के मरीजों के रूबा सेहत होने की शरह 48.27% तक पहुंच गई है। रूबा सेहत होने वालों की जुमला तादाद 1,09,462 हो गई है। गुज़िश्ता 24 घंटों के दौरान 5,355 अफराद रूबा सेहत हुए। वजारत सेहत व ख़ानदानी बहबूद ने बताया कि गुज़िश्ता 24 घंटों के दौरान कोविड-19 के 9,851 नए केसेस दर्ज किए गए। इस तरह मुल्क में इस मर्ज के मुतासरीन की जुमला तादाद 2,26,770 हो गई है। मुल्क में कोरोना वायरस की वबा फूट पड़ने के बाद पहली मरतबा एक दिन में इतनी बड़ी तादाद में केसेस दर्ज किए गए हैं। गुज़िश्ता 24 घंटों के दौरान 273 अफराद फौत हुए, जिससे महलूकीन की तादाद बढ़कर 6,348 हो गई। अमवात की शरह 2.8% है। इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ मेडिकल रिसर्च ने कहा है कि गुज़िश्ता 24 घंटों के दौरान कोरोना वायरस के लिए 1,43,661 नमूनों की जांच की गई। इसके साथ ही मुल्क में अब तक जांचे गए नमूनों की तादाद 43,86,389 हो गई है। ICMR सरकारी और खानगी लेबॉर्ट्रीज को मंजूरी देते हुए कोविड-19 के लिए टेस्टिंग की सहूलतों में मुसलसल तोसी कर रहा है। अब तक मुल्क भर में 724 लेबॉर्ट्रीज को मंजूरी दी गई। इनमें 507 सरकारी और 217 खानगी लेबॉर्ट्रीज शामिल हैं। तेलंगाना में कल कोविड-19 के
They took us down the stairs and out into the street. There were lots of people out there in their dressing gowns watching us. Uncle Mer and Matt and Flat Stanley too. Matt called out to me and asked me what was going on, and I told them they were sending us back to Afghanistan. A policeman had me by the arm the whole time, pushing me, frag marching me. It made me feel ashamed, and I had nothing to be ashamed about. Mother was having a proper fit by now, but they didn't bother. The policewoman said she was just pretending, putting it on. They shoved us in this van, locked us up in separate compartments with bars on the windows, and drove us off. I could hear Mother crying the whole time. They must have been able to hear her too, but it was just a job to them. They were busy listening to their radio and laughing. I kept talking to Mother, trying to calm her down, but I could tell she was getting worse and worse. I banged on the door and screamed at the police in the front, and in the end they did stop. They had a look at Mother, and the same policewoman told me that she was play acting and to shut my mouth or I'd be in trouble. I didn't shut my mouth. I told them I wanted to be in with Mother, and kept on and on until they let me. Mother calmed down a bit after that, but she was still in a really bad state when we got there. They wanted Mother and me to be in different rooms. They said I was too old to be in with her. I told them I was staying with her, to look after her, no matter what, that I'd been with her all my life, and there was no way they were going to be parted. We said we'd both go on hunger strike if they did that. We made such a fuss and noise about it that in the end they let us stay together. That was when we learned that not to give in, not ever. When I first came into this place, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it might look all right from the outside, like a recreation centre, a bit like my school, but inside it's all locked doors and guards. It's all fake, just to make it look good. Fake flowers on the table, pretty pictures on the walls, a nursery, and places the kids can play and television. But it's a prison. That's what it is, a prison. That's what I couldn't believe. They put us in a prison. We were locked up. I hadn't done anything wrong, and nor had Mother, nor has anyone else in here. Everyone's got a right to ask for asylum, to try to find a safe place to live, haven't they? That's all we've done. For the first few days in here, Mother just cried and cried. Uncle Mo came to visit us, and he said he'd get a lawyer, and he'd do all he could to get us out of here and back home, but nothing could stop Mother from crying. When we heard the news that Uncle Mo had a heart attack and was in hospital on account of everything that had gone on, I suppose it only made it worse for her. The doctor came and gave her an injection, and after that, instead of crying, she just lay there looking at the ceiling, as if she'd got no feelings left inside her. It's worse for her than it is for me. She's got her memories of the prison they took her back to in Afghanistan. I know they're terrible memories, but she still won't talk about them. She says she's never ever going back to Afghanistan, that she'd rather kill herself, and I know she means it too. That's almost it, the whole story. Oh yes, except for one thing. About a week ago, I think it was, they came into our room one morning early and told us they were going to take us to the airport and then fly us back to Afghanistan. We asked them what was going to happen and they told us it was right now and we had to get ready. We refused. Mother fought them, so did I. They had to hold us down and handcuff us, and in the van all the way to the airport we hammered on the side of the van and we shouted and we screamed. They drove us right to the plane and tried to make us walk up the steps. We wouldn't go. They had to half drag, half carry us up. Even in her seat on the plane, Mother wouldn't stop fighting them. I had almost given up by then, but Mother never did. That's why we're still here, because Mother didn't give up. In the end, the pilot came and said he couldn't take off with Mother on board, that we were a danger to the other passengers, that we were frightening them. So they took us off the plane and brought us back here. They weren't at all pleased to see us. Our wrists hurt where they'd handcuffed us, and we were a bit bruised all over. But we didn't mind. Mother told me that night that Grandfather would have been proud of us. He had been a fighter for freedom, and so had Father in his own way. We must fight for our freedom and never give in. Chapter 20. We're going to do it, Grandpa. Eamon turned to her. That is what you said, Mother, isn't it? We must never give in, right? He still spoke in English, but I could see from her smile that she understood everything all along. Eamon went on, holding her hand tight in his. They will come and try to take us again. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, but we won't go without a fight, will we, Mother? She reached out and touched the back of his head, stroking his hair fondly, proudly. She won't answer me, Eamon said. It's a rule she's made when we came here, that with her I must always speak Dari. She says I must never forget we are Zara, and if I speak the language, I never will. And I tell her we have to speak English, because we are now English also. We are both. We argue about it, don't we, Mother? But I had the impression that his mother wasn't listening to him anymore. She was directing her gaze at me, and then she spoke to me in English, slowly, hesitantly, searching for the words, but meaning every one of them. Thank you for coming to see us. Eamon has talked about you. He likes you. You have been very kind to us. My attention was distracted then, as it had been off and on all afternoon during Eamon's story, by a little girl, only about 2 or 3 years old, I guessed, in a pink dress. She had been running around the visitors' room, and I had noticed her before, how every time the door that led to the outside world opened, whenever someone came in or went out, she would run towards it, only to have it slammed in her face. There were several doors out of the room, but she seemed to know that this was a door you had to go through if you wanted to get out of the place. After she found it shut against her this time, she stood there looking up at it, then at the guard standing beside it. She sat down on the floor then, a teddy in her hand, her thumb in her mouth, waiting for the door to open again. The guard, looking down at her stony face, he kept fingering the bunch of keys on his belt, shaking them every now and again, like a rattle. I got up to go a few minutes later. I'll be back, I told them. I hope we'll still be here, said Eamon. I wasn't expecting him to want to shake hands, but he did. As I took his hand, I felt something pressing into mine. I guessed at once it was a silver badge. He looked hard at me, telling me with his eyes not to look down, just to put my hand in my pocket and walk away. I knew, as I left the detention centre, as the gates closed behind me, and as once again out in the free world, that I was holding their futures in the palm of my hand. Matt was waiting for me with Dog. Well, what happened, Grandpa? You've been in there ages. Did you see him? I saw him and his mother, I said. Is he all right? He asked. For now, I said. Matt was bursting to hear what had happened in there. I gave him Eamon's silver star badge, and all the way home in the car, with Dog leaning his head on my shoulder as usual, I told him everything. Eamon had told me about Bamiyan, about the whole incredible story of their escape from Afghanistan, about Shadow, about Sergeant Brodie, their nightmare of a journey to England, everything about Walswood, too, what it was like inside, and about the little girl in the pink dress. I just couldn't get her out of my mind. Until I'd finished, and we were nearly home by then, he said nothing, asked no questions, but simply sat there and listened, Eamon's silver star badge cupped in his hands. He never told me, Matt said. He never told me a thing. And then, I've seen that little red train. He keeps it in his room. I thought it was his favourite toy, you know, from when he was little. He never said. We talked much after that. Hardly a word till we arrived home. Then we just sat there in the car for a while. I knew what he was thinking, and I knew he knew what I was thinking too. It's no good, Matt, I told him. I've racked my brains, but it's hopeless. Even if we could think of something, it would be too late. I really don't think there's anything we can do for them. Oh yes, there is, Grandpa, Matt said. There has to be, and we're going to do it too.